The woman finds out by chance there's a handprint on the husband's car window. The slender shape prompts her to picture her husband tutoring another woman in foreign languages to uncover the truth. The woman stayed silent. Finally, on this day as she planned to camp with the neighbor. Initially, the neighbor's roof heating was broken. The neighbor fears the kids might freeze. They planned to head home with the kids overnight. Unexpectedly, the husband readily offered. The two families could share one roof. The male neighbor had no reason to refuse, so they slept in the upper bunk. The male neighbor's family slept below. But by midnight, when the woman got up to use the bathroom, she suddenly finds the husband is missing. Without a second thought, she steps out searching. Instead, she hears strange noises from the neighboring roof. Just as she carefully moves closer, a handprint suddenly catches her eye. Clearly, her earlier suspicions are confirmed. No doubt this isn't the first time for them. Perhaps every place she knew has become a battleground for them. Her male neighbor about the matter. After both confirmed their partner's infidelity, they brought the evidence together and jointly filed for divorce. Though her husband is a wealthy heir, he has no assets in his name. All assets are in her father-in-law's hands. This means she might not get a dime from the divorce. Fortunately, her father-in-law is a prominent congressman. She might find another way. Parent first presented a video which revealed that the two often frequented the same hotel and often shared close moments, but the other side's lawyer was shocked too. He quickly claimed they were just friends. They went to the hotel for business only. Before Aaron could even speak, the rich kid stood up to argue that they were truly in love. As the rich kid confessed to his infidelity, the case became much easier. There was no need for further court debate, and they could directly set a date for divorce. Just when Aaron thought victory was in hand, the rich kid suddenly demanded custody of their 3 children, including the child he had with the mistress. Aaron, however, was not surprised by this. Instead, the intern Yuli showed a contemptuous look. She thought the man was delusional. As the mediation meeting started, Yuli realized she was the delusional one. Jing first raised the neighbor's asset split. She noted they shared 500 million in assets. Given the woman's prior fault, she could receive 20s. And she had not worked since marrying. The child custody should go to the man. The woman disagreed with this. She wanted half of the wealth, but also sought custody of the child. As both sides pulled at each other, the wealthy heir suddenly knocked on the table. He said they could first hear his settlement proposal, and Jing seemed to have been waiting for this. She smiled eagerly to listen. The rich heir stated he would pay 3/5 of the assets. That means 2 billion won for his ex. The mistress could forfeit any claim to her ex's assets if they both would give up custody of the child. She seemed quite happy with it, but the neighbor was very upset. He felt this was a way to buy the child. He even convinced the woman to refuse to compromise. But surprisingly, the woman didn't refuse right there, but also said she needed time to think. The neighbor felt furious at once. Also feeling indignant was the inter-lawyer Yuli. She thought those two were pushing their luck. They showed no remorse for the affair and ignored their partner's feelings. Jing tried to tell her to calm down, but Yuli shot her a fierce glare in response. Jing chose not to say much about it. She just wanted her to consider the mother's opinion. And the fact turned out as she expected. The woman said since marrying the rich kid, she had never worked. The child has gone to an international school, wears brand-name clothes. If she got custody after the divorce, their quality of life will surely drop. It's better to leave the kid with the dad. At least, in material terms, it won't leave a large gap for the child. The problem now fell on the male neighbor. After all, if he doesn't agree to the plan, the case for the 4 can be settled. And Jing knew very well the male neighbor was just being spiteful. So she said in this mediation, the rich kid not only lost his wife and family, but also lost 2 billion. He suffered the biggest loss among everyone. Even if it ultimately goes to court, the child likely goes to the mother. After all, the mother can give a better life after marriage. It seemed like she truly heard Jing's words. When the second mediation began, the male neighbor first agreed to the proposal. The woman sadly agreed. However, on the way back, Yuli became angrier as she thought Jing did it for the money, disregarding her client's interest. This left Jing speechless and amused. Would say they'd live together later. It's because that makes it seem less troublesome, but truthfully, they won't value what's too easy. Therefore, they not only won't live together, but the rich heir is often too busy. Ultimately, the child may spend even more time with the mother. Even if the man gets custody, the court wouldn't deprive the mother of her right to see the child. After explaining everything, Yuli was utterly impressed by Jing. But there's one thing Yuli hadn't in her heart for long. That is, she recently witnessed Jing's husband's disgrace. Yuli didn't know whether to bring it up, but after these days together, she found Jing could endure a lot and wouldn't be easily hurt, so that night she revealed everything. So what? What? Little did Jing know, she was already aware. Jing found something out 6 months back. That day, she had a colleague over for dinner. The secretary stepped out for wine. Her husband kindly joined her. Jing caught a whiff of something suspicious that day, but she quickly told herself she was too sensitive. Later, while traveling with her husband, a message suddenly popped up. Jing instinctively clicked to check. When she saw "Where are you?" she lost it. Jing completely lost her cool. With years of handling divorce cases, people who ask where your husband is, or those who have a crush on him, those who like him want to know what he's doing, definitely have ties with him because they share their daily lives. She hurried to her husband's hospital. She asked the front desk about someone named Dr. Choi. However, there was no Dr. Choi here. The front desk also revealed that her husband, recalling the secretary, Choi, often gone in the mornings, Even though she was sure of that, she had not found any proof until one day Jane accidentally opened her husband's package. What caught her eye were their wedding photos. They were already scheming about getting married. It's easy to imagine how furious and desperate Jane felt, but as a top divorce lawyer, she knew she couldn't rush because when she confronted them, it would just have damaged the mistress and caused irreparable harm to the child. At that moment, her husband called, was worried after seeing the package open. His biggest fear was that she'd find out, and Jane suppressed her anger, determined not to show any sign. Yuli was quite puzzled by this. As Jane would say, divorce needs a chance as well. A skilled assistant who's very helpful. A husband whose status matches her own. The secretary lives right below her. She saw them head downstairs together. Their behavior was particularly close. After witnessing their shameless displays of affection, Jane left in tears of joy because she finally got the chance for divorce. That was when they began living together. But cohabitation is a crime. Yui-han, please take all my keys. She got a subpoena in public. She quickly became the talk among coworkers, but what shocked her even more was the complainant was not other than her boss, Jane. Guilty. She couldn't even raise her head. In contrast, Jane wept confidently and vibrantly, as if the betrayal had no effect on her. Even as she passed by, Sarah entered the office. The spouse invite made her sweat instantly. Jane abruptly stopped her. She cautiously sat down on the sofa. There's no doubt she could no longer continue this job. Unexpectedly, as she planned to quit, Jane actively retained her. After all, keeping her close would let her witness the tragic end. Jane's decision puzzled Sarah, but soon Jane brought her back to the point. Sarah wanted to ask when she found out, but Jane suddenly fell mute, then laughed. She has dealt with many divorce cases. Almost every mistress asks the same question. This is an absolute face-off. So she counters Jane. Her marriage is obviously broken. Why can't she step in? Undoubtedly, in other divorce cases, mistresses have said the same things. Just because Jane looks victorious, there's no real winner in such issues. His question was exactly the same as Sarah's, but as a man, his reaction was even worse. Yui-han, so you're curious about this too? I've truly had enough of you.
You've proved that leaving you was the right choice.
Please don't call me again to reach out to my lawyer.
After hanging up, Jane couldn't hold back any longer, even though she's seen too much betrayal. When it happens to her, who can truly remain rational? But the outburst only lasted a moment. When Yuri came to discuss the divorce case, she had already regained her calm. Yuri wondered why Jane would entrust such an important case to her. In Jane's words, she could easily win this lawsuit herself, but she needed different perspectives. So, as an intern, Yuri was instead most suitable to help fill the gaps. Meanwhile, the husband and Sarah also found a lawyer who had never lost a case. But after seeing clear proof of their affair, he offered wise advice. Since they share 15 years, they can divide the assets. Sarah wholeheartedly agreed. After all, who wouldn't want half of the assets? It's a win-win for her.
Reality is harsh.
Jane had clearly stated she wanted her husband to leave empty-handed, and to blame Sarah for breaking the family. This goal made Yuli feel it was simply impossible. Has the right to split the property. She just took her to handle another case, a case similar to Jane's situation, but this time, the victim was the man who worked hard to earn money, while his wife cheated at home. Even during the divorce, the wife wanted not only half of the assets and take a piece of the public firm. The man surely disagreed. After all, their relationship had crumbled 5 years ago. But over 5 years, the man often visited his wife for the kids. This proved their bond wasn't quite gone. After Yuli heard the man's statement, she found this case quite challenging, but Jane was full of confidence. When she discovered the client's daughter was about to turn 18 in a week, she quickly moved the hearing a week. No one knows when parents drift more than kids. No one knows better than the kids. And once the child is grown, what she says in court will have legal weight. Sure enough, on the day of the hearing, both daughters' testimonies left their mother speechless. The sisters directly testified that 5 years ago, their parents said their love had faded away, and their divorce was the youngest turned 18. Isn't it outrageous? How can what the kids say count?
She isn't even an adult.
She wrote her statement only after 18.
She was already 18. In the end, the woman walked away with nothing
and didn't get a piece of the firm.
After this case closed, Yuli quickly rallies her spirits. She's confident she can help Jane's husband leave with nothing.
But Jane wants custody of her daughter,
so she asks Yuli to help with school pickups. Once this starts, it's bound to happen again. Yuli felt like she had become a babysitter. She vented to a colleague, but her colleague said being with Jane, a top lawyer like her, was worth it, even if it meant warming her bed. With her coworkers' help, Yuli gradually calmed down.
But after too many drinks,
the next morning, it unexpectedly ended up in bed. Yuli was instantly definitely terrified. She couldn't imagine working in the same office again, as they definitely crossed paths. How would they face each other then? Yuli couldn't think much. She saw she might be late, so she hurried to the office, but it wasn't long before they ran into each other at work. As they awkwardly faced each other, the boss voice suddenly filled the office. Jay's divorce gossip had gone viral. As a well-known divorce lawyer, she struggled with her own marriage. This could ruin the firm's reputation. The boss hopes Jing can settle swiftly, suppress this matter, but Jing firmly stated she wouldn't settle. She wants to sue. This statement completely embarrassed Secretary Yin. Now everyone knows her character is back. Finally, after Laura's urging, the boss stopped bothering Jing. But the next day, of a lawsuit claiming an affair, she was about to confirm with Jane, but witnessed something she shouldn't have at the office door. This further confirmed the news' validity. He even teamed up with Sarah to slander his wife. After all, Sarah had assisted Jane for 15 years. She knew a male co-worker named Zach. Though they never crossed any boundaries with Sarah's embellishments, it seemed they were almost sharing a bed. So Jane's husband created a scandal, and soon Director Kim found a reporter to leak news. He said he hadn't cheated, but claimed his wife had an affair with Sam. They had an improper relationship. Secretary Yang, to be safe, had her lawyer submit a countersuit overnight. This way, the public wouldn't see it as one-sided. She can back out with ease. And Jane didn't explode in anger, causing him to become involved in this mess. Just when she was overwhelmed with busy work, she broke the cup by mistake. She quickly bent to tidy up, but she accidentally cut her hand on the glass. While Laura Zan was tending to engines while Yuli suddenly walked in, she quickly misunderstood them. Then Yuli sat down seriously in front of Jane, hoping she'd clarify with Zen. And Jane was quite speechless. In her view, this nonsense didn't deserve a response at all. Just suing for slander could work. Little did she know, Yuli feared evidence she didn't dare to sue. This quickly left Jane dismayed. It seemed as if to prove herself right. When Shella suggested a meet, Yuli happily agreed at once. But when Yuli tried to extract whether there was evidence of the rumor, Shella couldn't hold back a sneer. Yuli had just been at a month. How could she be her rival? She soon turned to find Jane again, because in Yuli's view, even if the defamation suit won, Jane's reputation would plummet in the ensuing conflict. Even though Jane has handled countless, so she could only give up on the defamation case and chose to reveal facts of bigamy. As due to no bigamy law, even if the partner lived with the mistress for years, it can only be seen as bigamy at most. But the criteria are quite strict, so almost everyone has forgotten about it. Thinking of her investment in Yuli, she didn't tell Yuli directly, but made her deliver the judgment to the mountains. She even feared it was too risky for her, and had a coworker join her. As they complained of the long trek, Jane, with ill intentions, suddenly saw the plaintiff and defendant live together. Yuli finally had a bright idea. The next day, she confidently sat before Jane, asserting that since the other party had thrown slander at Jane, they dropped the bomb of her affair, using the same tactics to throw out the word bigamy, because such cliches as infidelity or incest, although did bring a brief shock effect, they are easily forgotten. But bigamy is different. Once Principal Kim is rumored to live with another woman, the term's novelty will surely spark public curiosity. This will lead to a deep dive into his past. Not bad for me. I should take you to the mountains often. Meanwhile, Lawyer Zhang, as the son of the law firm owner, and to stay away from Jane. But Lawyer Zhang believes he hasn't crossed any line and doesn't need to care about outside gossip. Many female co-workers at the firm have noticed Lawyer Zhang's crush on Jane. Now, hearing rumors about the two of them, everyone hopes they can be together. Sure enough, under the bigamy claim, Principal Kim was fired from the hospital, working as a full-time dad. But now he's jobless, so he takes comfort in caring for her at home. She seldom had time for her daughter. This caused them to grow apart. Jane wanted to talk to her daughter, but her daughter ignored her. Jane had to discreetly leave. Sarah also wasn't backing down. She quietly took her out. Jane frantically searched everywhere at school, right as she planned to call the cops, making Jane feel completely trapped. Who wouldn't panic seeing their child with the mistress? No mother could keep her composure. But as a top divorce lawyer, Jane instantly restrained her impulse. However, Sarah pushed her luck further. Watching this, Jane had to hold back her rage. She went straight to her daughter. She struggled to force a smile. She told her to wait outside a bit. Once her daughter had fully left the store, she slammed her hand on the table. How could you do something like this? Is a child like an object? But her daughter wasn't forced away. She knew that the secretary was her father's mistress, so she didn't want to upset her mom. She just wanted to know after the divorce, who should she live with? Jane reassures her daughter that nothing will change. She'll still be in her childhood home, a place where she can live with her. But once back at the firm, Jane starts feeling restless because she has been busy with work. Her husband mainly cares for their daughter, so she lacks confidence that her daughter would choose her. Meanwhile, Sarah, who works at the firm, reluctantly stays despite the tension, but she's constantly bullied by her colleagues, facing various nasty remarks. When she arrives at Jane's office, she notices no one is around. She secretly opens her boss's computer too full. Sarah instantly feels pleased. She didn't expect her high-ranking boss wouldn't seek revenge for her husband being taken away, but even recommend her for the position. After a moment of glee, the secretary quietly sits at Jane's desk, dreaming of the day she can replace her. However, just when she's feeling good, Jane suddenly walks in. Jane is well aware of the secretary's tricks. Just a few odd treats and she forgets herself. The secretary shamelessly told Jane if she wants custody of her daughter, she must help with one thing. During meals, my colleagues were against me. Please reconcile with me. My husband has been calm lately, and he isn't even fighting for custody. It turns out he had a disagreement with his lover about this. The secretary promised to resolve this soon. She would persuade Director Kim to give up custody of Zhao Shi. Jane was furious about this because she dared to use her daughter as a pawn. Now does she want to use Zhao Shi in her deal? You chose the wrong target. As talks broke, Sarah stopped pretending. She shamelessly declared right then, since the husband chose betrayal, should the wife also reflect on her own issues? So why is my reason, really? You have the typical mistress mentality, Sarah Choi. This angered Sarah completely. She left without looking back. Sure enough, the next day, he said he'd give her a gift. Then he took her to a new home, a future home for their family of 3. The daughter is clearly closer to her dad. She never asked Jane this before, even when her mother tried to get closer, offering him her lingerie. She kept a cold expression. She stated she never wears wire bras, telling her not to worry about her clothes anymore. This left Jane at a loss. She knew her daughter preferred living with her father. After she had her daughter, she quickly returned to work to regain her sense of self. Her husband was caring for their daughter. Facing Sarah's scrutiny, Jane had to bring her plans forward. She made Sarah chief assistant early. This left her colleagues baffled. Until a male colleague spoke up. That's when Sarah saw the appointment notice. Looking at her new office, her smile became uncontrollable. She quickly pulled out her phone to share her joy with Jen's husband. But just as she admired her nameplate, Jane unexpectedly showed up. Chief Director Sarah Choi. You're fired. This confirmed her affair with the leader's husband. Colleagues cast scornful looks at her. To save face, Sarah burst into her boss, Lawyer Zhang's office. Firing you was a team decision. The man's attitude infuriated Sarah. She threatened to report the company right there. But Lawyer Zhang remained unfazed. Realizing no gain from a public fight, she aimed her attacks at Lawyer Zhang's private life, claiming they were both the same, just two who loved taken ones. Lawyer Zhang finally lost her patience. She taught Sarah the basics. She stated that only acting on thoughts is illegal. She's not as shameless as Sarah, ruining families for her own gain. Even though Zhang was quite blunt, Sarah refused to relent. Then she faked being pitiful. She said love is like a car crash. You can't escape from it. This made Attorney Zhang laugh in anger. She bluntly said Jane using you is the true match, as Sarah clutched onto her belongings. She sadly left her job of 10 years, but her reckoning was not over. Once people have too much time, they focus their energy on partners. Sarah was no exception, but the man was solely focused on custody battles. He didn't want her to help with the home reno. Had she known when to step back, it wouldn't have come to this. The two men surely knew her intentions. She aimed to assert her rights as the mistress, but if Sarah's stuff appeared in the new home, the daughter would feel uncomfortable. She might choose to live with her mother instead. Sorry, I need to return this.
That's right.
The man never intended to live with her. He had no plans to marry her. Other issues had remained hidden. Now, divorce was a done deal. Other conflicts finally surfaced. I quit my job to protect our love.
I'd even left the job I'd held for 10 years. How can you not care about my feelings? You didn't even comfort me. And all you talk about is Aziz Chausi.
What do I even mean to you? Are you trying to compete with Zhao Shi now? Is that not okay?
Why am I always second place?
Until when must I endure this? Since you're curious, let me clarify this. Zhao Shi matters most. I won't allow you to hurt Zhao Shi at all. You make it sound like I hurt Zhao Shi.
It sounds like I'm the perpetrator. You and I are both culprits.
How can you say our love is enough? If this arguing continues, let's just break up. What? Stop arguing. It's a bother. When did I say I want to marry you? Have some self-awareness, please.
But it's only been 2 days. Sarah, however, gained a chance to turn things around. 2 strikes. Meanwhile, Jane, unaware of the impending trouble, was still helping Yuli deal with rats. Boldly appearing right before her, Yuli had not yet recovered. The woman walked into Jane's office. It turned out that Jane was the lawyer who helped Yuli's father win the divorce case. The woman straightforwardly brought out a gift contract. He accidentally found it while moving. He'll give all assets to his mistress. But Yunjin said the contract's not right. Hence, it holds no legal validity. Miss Kim will get the house back because she can't let this slide. Initially, Yuli left to work alone. This also wrecked her good name and cost her a job paid 50 million won yearly. Yuli didn't even spare her father. This left both of them unemployed for a while. Miss Kim told the firm to fire Yuli now, otherwise she would protest downstairs. As she left, she mockingly bid farewell to Yuli. This infuriated Yuli. She went to Yunjin to ask what that woman said. Yunjin didn't say anything. Instead, she said her case is taken. Yuli found it absurd. She's now handling Yunjin's divorce. How could she betray her like this? Yunjin didn't disclose the cause. She merely brushed it off. After work, Yunjin approached Yuli's mother. She said Miss Kim visited her today. So she chose to pay to calm things down. But Yunjin felt she shouldn't pay. After all, it was Mrs. Yun who was wrong from the beginning. Yuli's mom teared up upon hearing this. Dad must divorce to get the assets.
Back then, she did it for the estate. You pushed me into the divorce. After hearing Yuli's mom speak,
She realized she was now in the same predicament before. And were to make amends, he knew had his mom organized that would fade away with time. But her daughter needs her father. She feared that once she viewed the child's father as a traitor, her daughter would forever lose her dad. That's why she desperately suppressed telling her daughter it was fine, that she had already forgiven her dad, but wanted to keep her father's place in her heart. Yin learned a lot from this. Not only cooking her healthy breakfast daily, but also getting takeout on work breaks. She'd invite her daughter's study group for pizza. Her sudden change surprised little Soo-hee. By evening, Soo-hee began to lean at the window waiting for her mom. Seeing her mother come home, she promptly sat correctly on the couch. Yin came back and saw her daughter waiting. Her face quickly lost the marks of work fatigue. Soo-hee excitedly shared how enthusiastic her classmates were. They envied her for having such a rich mom. Unbeknownst to them, the pair talked about it for a long while, especially when she heard her daughter bragging that she's a skilled divorce lawyer. Annie looked really happy, and Zhaoxi, after sharing with her mother, began to ask her mother to pick her up from school. Annie nodded, feeling pleased. She promised to make time. At that moment, both mother and daughter felt unprecedented joy. The next day, Annie came to the law firm. Mrs. Kim came knocking again. She made threats demanding the quick firing of Yuli, but Annie brushed her off. Then she got straight to the point. That's already a threat. If Yuli finds out about this, she will file criminal and civil suits right away. She would surely get that money back. At that point, things would really spiral out of control. She called Yuli into the office. Is she getting into trouble again? She wants me to take on her case. But I'm busy. I wanted to ask if Lawyer Lee could take over. Lawyer Choi. I won't answer. Oh, then there's nothing I can do. I guess I have to deal with this woman first. Can you just get out of here? The woman caught red-handed had no choice but to flee. This left Yuli bewildered. She had no idea what had happened the whole time. Afterward, Yuli apologized for the misunderstanding. She wondered how Jing did it. Having gone through a divorce herself, her perspective on cases changed. She sincerely apologized to Yuli, but Yuli held no grudge. Since she knew her mom's nature, she would have tolerated for her sake, but this meant her later life would be lived in endless suffering. Then bravely pursue her own happy life, Yuli turned and called her mother. She asked her to a fancy restaurant. The expensive menu left her mother wide-eyed. Yuli reassured her that today is a special day. Both understood implicitly. However, Jane was not so lucky. There was even a photo under the makeup. An ultrasound of a fetus. This made the daughter guess right away. It must be that Sarah seized the chance, deliberately placed the photo here. So the next day she went to find Sarah. She asked her right away if she's pregnant, but Sarah pretended to be surprised instead. She treated her like a total fool. Faced with such shamelessness, good thing her mom's a top lawyer. Her upbringing kept her calm. But she underestimated their shamelessness. Yes, she is your sister. So you'll be a good sister to her, right? Does my mom know too? She doesn't know. If she finds out, it would break her heart. And she'd have to go to court. I'm sorry, Sikosi. It's all the adults' fault.
Besides, you've received plenty of fatherly love. Your mother needs you too.
Faced with such shameless people. But she didn't notice that Sarah behind her displayed a scheming smile. Soon, the investigator came to see Kosi. This made Yunjing outside the door restless. After all, custody matters. The child's opinion is vital. But what the investigator didn't expect was... She even joked that a recent gift Perhaps more than she'll receive in a lifetime. In this atmosphere, the investigator got straight to the point, asking her if she chose who to live with later. Soon, both of them walked out of the room. While Yin was tense, the daughter seemed quite at ease. However, her choices weren't revealed here. The investigator discreetly met Yun, seriously stating, on the first visit to her dad's house, the daughter was hesitant to share. She would respond in kind. Yun thought this was her way of coping with her parents' divorce, but the investigator meaningfully remarked, your daughter learned of your husband's affair before you. This felt like a thunderclap, making Yun suddenly remember Yuri's words that the daughter was very perceptive, and from the investigator's notes, Yun learned that when her father asked Sarah to watch the daughter, he discovered their relationship. She felt guilt and self-blame all this time, since she feared telling her mom, it would lead to divorce. On the other hand, she hurts for her mother betrayed, still in the dark about it, feeling like an accomplice. But more shocking than this situation, Jane found it harder to accept that her daughter learned from Sarah that the mistress was pregnant. In that moment, she was shocked by Sarah's lack of decency, paying for her daughter trying to safeguard, wanting to bear everything alone. As a mother, she knew Jane always wanted to protect her daughter from harm, but now she realizes her daughter had been her shield and carry so many secrets alone. Meanwhile, Sarah selfishly dragged her daughter deeper into despair. It's just unbearable. Determined to confront Sarah at any cost, but accidentally slipped into her room. Jane broke down and cried at the door. Just then, Yuli's mom walked by. She warmly embraced Jane. And when she calmed down, she took her back to her own home. Under Yuli's mother's comfort, Jane gradually calmed down, only to be sued by the wife. But she insists it was him who seduced her first. He misled her about his divorce. She is truly the innocent one. Now, the wife is suing her for pain. She has reason to suspect they're part of a honey trap. Yuli patiently explained that no matter who tempted, choosing to be together is wrong. Hearing this, the woman was upset. She thought since she paid for the lawyer, I'll stick with Jane, the lawyer. This put Yuli in a tough spot. After all, Jane just faced her own betrayal. It's insane for a wife to stand for a mistress. That really is too much to ask. Initially, Jane didn't think much of it, but when she actually heard the mistress speak, she couldn't help but relate to it. When the mistress blamed the wife for the betrayal, Jane suddenly recalled Sarah's words, aren't you accountable for your honesty? But even if she sees a reflection, Jane can quickly regain her sense. It wasn't until the woman claimed he'd always loved her, blaming his wife for being too terrifying to leave, that Jane finally couldn't handle it. You have no idea how terrifying his wife can be. Oh, so that's what you're thinking. Seeing this, Yuli rushed to mediate. She said even if she caught emotional damages, it shouldn't be hard for her to pay given her circumstances. She wouldn't pay a cent in damages. Oh, his wife is just a crazy person. And indeed, what happened was just as she said. When she saw the plaintiff couldn't hire a lawyer, she began to mock openly while watching the mediator, but also accused her of using her husband. Jane and Yuli both showed looks of disgust at this. However, in their roles, they could only contain their anger. However, Jane never expected that. The wife claimed even billions in compensation wouldn't bring things back to how they were. Wow, you're fishing for sympathy here. Cutting aside the woman's shameless remarks, Jane, in the same role, suddenly got new insight from the plaintiff. So during a break, she faced the woman directly. The scene shifted. The woman's attitude made a complete turnaround. But after Jane said she deeply recognized her mistake, she stood up willingly and sincerely apologized to the wife. She even bowed deeply. I'm truly sorry. Are you sincere? Yes. This made the wife cry immediately. It turns out she never wanted money from the mistress. She just wanted to hear an apology. Knowing this apology is insincere, she hoped for it too. Later, Jane approached the wife. Because I liked it. A heartfelt sorry. So you still haven't received your husband's apology? No, he said sorry, but he just wanted to protect himself from being divorced or from not seeing the kids. What I want is his heartfelt apology. I feel this is the only way I can move on. I hope Laura Che also receives such an apology. And Jane seems to be greatly inspired. She started to doubt her original motive to make her husband and assistant pay. After Yuli got drunk, she spoke some meaningful nonsense. Perhaps I want it too. I hope they apologize to me. But Yuli stayed awake. Instead, after shedding a tear of sorrow, that night she found Sarah, urged her to apologize to Jane. The next day, Yuli brought Sarah to the law firm. As soon as Sarah entered Jane's office, she knelt down to apologize. What do you mean? I made a mistake. What on earth are you trying to do? Get out. I genuinely want to apologize. What's wrong? What's wrong? As a mom now, are you afraid of guilt? Or are you trying to pay less in child support?
It's not like that. I'm doing this to ensure a good future for my child, so I must apologize to you.
I see. So you're apologizing for your own peace of mind. I have nothing to say. Get out! After Sarah left, Jane approached Yuli to ask if it was her doing. Yuli said she found Sarah last night. She only urged her to think about her unborn child, proving herself as a mother. After hearing this, Jane praised Yuli for her effort and thanked her for what she did for herself. You did great. Thank you, Lee. At least I can tell Zhao Shi that Mom got an apology. It's okay now. Don't worry about Mommy. It's okay to rely on Mommy like a child. After Jane returned home, she happily cooked with her daughter because she could finally face the past, starting a new life with her daughter. Her mother had been through so much, thus Zhao Shi couldn't forgive her father's infidelity. He kept fooling himself, so she chose to live with her mom. However, Director Kim found this hard to accept. He thought Jane was plotting in secret, trying to break her bond with her daughter. Jane didn't expect him to show no remorse even today. The two argued fiercely in the moment, but the family rep intervened. But Director Kim couldn't lose his daughter this way. He wanted to have an earnest talk with her. After coming out, Director Kim launched another attack on Jane. Not to shake her bond with her daughter. It was best for them to part well. These words amused yet frustrated Jane. Part well? When Director Kim got home, he found Sarah had come in quietly. Anger surged within him, along with the pain of losing custody of his daughter, which he also directed at Sarah. But Sarah listened without flinching. At least he's finally alone now.
Sweetie, it's your turn now. Now that you want to see us.
Get out! Get out right now!
Is this really your true self? You treated Aaron Chen this way too, right? Pretending to be a good dad and husband. You've put me in circles. You've left Zhao Shi with lifelong scars.
Now you act like nothing happened, showing up with no shame. I was the first fool.
You pretend to be the best man in the world. How hypocritical. You're just as bad. You scum! It was Aaron Chen and Zhao Shi who left you, not the other way around.
What did you say? Say it again!
You worthless scum! Get out!
Unexpectedly, as they pushed, they accidentally bumped Sarah's belly on the table. Sadly, Sarah lost her baby. Losing the only advantage of having a man, Sarah felt utterly disheartened. At that moment, she realized the man in front of her never loved her. Maybe he just wanted physical satisfaction. Recalling the love she gave over the years, Sarah feels like a joke. After she cut ties with Director Kim, she left the sorrowful place. But Director Kim is set on winning his daughter's custody. He went to Zhao Shi's school. Seeing how distant his daughter had become, she didn't rush to hug him like before. Director Kim felt quite upset inside. Even so, he still invited his daughter to his home. He was ready to give it one last try. He asked Zhao Shi if she wanted to eat his homemade omelet. It used to be her favorite. She even said her mom cooks better now. Director Kim felt a bit disheartened. He knew Zhao Shi was bothered by his new girlfriend. He said he won't lessen his love for her, but that wasn't what Zhao Shi cared about. She accused her father of always lying to her. If it wasn't for that time Jane was busy with work and had Zhao Shi stay at Aunt Sarah's house, maybe she wouldn't have known until now that her father had cheated. Zhao Shi was really sad then. She didn't know whether to tell her mother. Fortunately, they broke up for a while later. She vowed never to tell her mom about it, worried she might get hurt. In the end, they didn't break up. They were openly holding hands downstairs. That moment made me lose all faith in my father, but I didn't want to hear him say sorry, because I had already given him a chance to reveal his relationship with Aunt Sarah. I only realized it when I saw the ultrasound. Dad never confessed to me. Director Kim was in a total panic to win back his daughter's heart. There was no baby in her womb. I remember what Dad had once said. His biggest curse was being apart from his daughter. I made the cruel decision with a heavy heart. Those who do wrong should be punished.
Losing me is your heaviest punishment.
To make up for the harm done to me, Director Kim finally gave up his daughter's custody, and in mediation, he agreed to take just 3/3 of the wealth. Thinking back to his wedding with Jane and how they fought for their lives together and the memories of their lovely daughter, he began to reflect on his infidelity. When once happy family had shattered because of his mistakes, he felt a deep sense of remorse. I'm sorry. Jane. Finally hearing the long-awaited apology, Jane felt a weight lifted off her heart, and at that moment leaving court, she felt an unprecedented sense of freedom. Back home, everything about Director Kim, they chose to begin anew. To make time for her daughter, Jane submitted a leave request to her law firm and took her daughter on a trip, but trouble arose halfway there. She didn't know Zhao Shi had issues. Seeing Zhao Shi endured silently, Jane felt very guilty. Finally reached the campsite, but Jane had never set up a tent. She could only force a smile while reading the instructions. Once the tent was set up, but when she happily handed the noodles to her daughter, she didn't know Zhao Shi hates scallions. Zhao Shi sadly missed her dad because he used to take care of her dietary needs, but to spare her mom's feelings, she said it's okay. She eagerly brought a plate of fruit for her. The mom and daughter were happy at first, then the fan turned in gossip. Yin-Yo's husband is cheating on her. Suddenly, a widow and orphan. The noise made them both embarrassed. This distracted them during the outing. At night, after putting her daughter to bed, Yin checked her phone now and then, hoping someone would reach out to her. But she didn't receive any messages. At that moment, she realized whether at work or at home, she seemed unable to manage both. Yin took her cycling with her, but they fell because they sped up. This made them accidentally fall down. The young patient wanted to call her dad upon arrival to have him come take care of her. Yin suddenly panicked. What's wrong? Can I contact dad? Even though mom isn't perfect yet, she's trying her best to change now.
I miss Dad a lot. No matter how I hold back, I still miss him a lot. Though Dad was quite a bother. Mom, will there really be no Dad around us anymore?
After putting her daughter to sleep, Jane sits on the bench feeling wrong. Laura Yuli, can I request after sales service? Did something happen? Whether at the company or at home. It seems like no one needs me anymore. But a strong woman won't fall so easily after a phone call. Jane chooses to stand alone to have her own law firm. That way she could spend more time with her daughter. Plus, she's new to running things. Therefore, she had to seek help from a former colleague, the current boss of the firm, Lawyer Zhang. Lawyer Zhang immediately recommended someone to Jane. When is the male colleague who had conflicts with Yuli? But Jane only remembers he was strict about leaving on time. He steered clear of extra hours. Lawyer Zhang must want to pass off the burden. Lawyer Zhang didn't explain this either. He only showed her the case files Ethan handled. Jane instantly understood the resolution section was all settlements. He had the ability to leave on time. However, Jane was surprised that he invited Ethan only once. He immediately agreed to switch jobs. In his words, as long as he could stay by a top lawyer like Jane, he would even do anything for her. Sure enough, the firm's business finally got on track. It even attracted a super VIP client, the head of the firm Jane used to work for, as the former chair of the Big Zan law firm. This left the current chair, Isan Yuzan, however, as the party in the case. That is, Han Yuli. Yuli found this really puzzling, but before the two could talk it over, it was clear their conflict was irreconcilable. Your chairman sounds words. We just learned of their conflict. Lawyer Zhang isn't the woman's real son. Now that he has passed the position to Lawyer Zhang, lost his money-making skills, his wife wants to divide the assets through divorce. However, with the trial opening, we learned the woman's perspective. I have raised the children with great hardship.
All along, I have cared for the defendant scrupulously. About the plaintiff's many sacrifices, he shows no gratitude at all.
That's right, this may be a common flaw among successful men. They often forget their wives who silently sacrifice at home. They're often not around, but they also bring their work emotions home. From their dialogue, it's easy to see, even if she's just a stepmom, she cares more than his real dad. That's why Laura Zhang helps her divorce. But instead of picking a winner, Jane wants to help Zhang keep the family. So after leaving the court, she hopes to facilitate a private conversation with Yuli to stop them from clashing again. Asking for his views while that Chairman Zhang truly does not want a divorce. From her often wanting to discuss cases, it's clear he always avoids the topic. Zhang still misses his wife. Lawyer Zhang also stated stepmom doesn't seem to want a divorce, she just wants a place to seek justice. This actually becomes simpler for Jane. So before the private talk starts, she intentionally calls Yui. Will not me to handle the defense then. Let's try translating. Translation? So when the talk turns into a fight again, the two just need to glance at each other. Translation officially starts. What she means is that being home alone,
Managing the kids, doing chores, and waiting for her husband is tough. Using the excuse of raising someone else's son, she wielded power her whole life.
is both thankful and sorry to you. To the point of treating you as the main party, yet he never showed it his entire life.
What are you two doing? We're translating. If translating, do it right.
I gave up my life just to manage the household. He actually said she abused her power. Where's the sign of thanks and regret?
As a result of their messy translation, the wife's attitude started to soften first. Her eyes were filled with trapped tears. The husband began to reflect on this. Meanwhile, Jane expertly fanned the flames, saying this might be their last private conversation. As a truly self-made man, Chairman Zhang immediately showcased his adaptability. Know that this is not just his company. Adding to it are his heartfelt words. What are you doing?
Thank you. What? Thank you.
Thanks to Lee for everything. Your sacrifice led to my current success. The wife ultimately chose to give him another chance.
With the end of this case, Jen finally discovered Larson, who had quietly supported her all along, also had such a vulnerable side. Thus, their relationship began to shift. Meanwhile, Yoey and Ethan got together. Thus, the four renowned divorce lawyers